Hi, and welcome to Spark Starts TA series, where we have the privilege of talking to people that are doing interesting things, asking interesting questions, and thinking about interesting trends. And today I'm thrilled to have Allie join us. Allie, would you introduce yourself for our audience?
Sure. Glad to join you, Mallory. I'm Allie Brown, and I lead employer brand and recruitment marketing at VCA Animal Hospitals, where I've been for almost the past 4 years. I've been doing employer brand for almost 8 years now, and prior to that, my background has been in marketing. So, various industries, software, real estate,
Right.
and found my way into here. Yeah.
As you know, I love talking to marketing people because that's my background as well. I started out in classic consumer packaged goods. And one of the reasons I love talking to people with consumer marketing backgrounds is they are very well grounded in the data and looking at marketing as a business function. And I
Mhm.
think for a lot of folks who have grown up in the talent acquisition space, they're not aware of the tools or the methodologies. They don't have background in research. And so all of this is new to them. But you're doing some really interesting things. Can you just talk about how you're approaching this and what sorts of data and things that you're looking at?
Yeah, so since I've been in the employer brand space, how to measure your employer brand has always been a big topic of conversation, I think, at every conference. And some of the challenges, of course, there is that with your employer brand and recruitment marketing, there's so many other factors. Whether they accept the offer or not isn't necessarily even talent acquisition's sole decision, right? It depends on the hiring manager and everything. So some employer brand practitioners tend to look at more top of funnel metrics like website traffic, job views, um, leads or apply starts, things like that. But what it really doesn't tell you is, are you reaching the right candidates? And, how is your brand being perceived in the market? And how is it also being perceived against your competitors? So, when I joined VCA, the company didn't yet have an employer brand. And for those not familiar with VCA, VCA Animal Hospitals is a leader in veterinary care with 1,000 animal hospitals across the US and Canada, uh, all with a shared purpose of taking care of the future of veterinary medicine. Our EVP is the future of veterinary medicine is in our hands. And one fun fact, kind of related to CPG, consumer packaged goods marketing, VCA is part of Mars, so the candy company, and that always surprises a lot of people. But over half of their business is now pet care. So,
Right.
uh,
And I suspect a lot of people don't understand the incredible shortage of veterinaries and projecting that forward. You are in the kind of crisis that tech people were, 5 years ago. As more people have pets, as pets get better health care, as there's just such demand. You've got a really tough recruiting challenge. And I think for folks that are not in that part of the world, they don't realize it. But your employer brand has got to be critical there whenever you're in a really, really tight market. And you've got some competitors. There's some other people that are rolling up independent veterinary hospitals and practices. So it's a fiercely competitive market. So how are you figuring out whether your brand is resonating?
yeah, it's extremely competitive, and that's why I was hired to join VCA and develop our employee value proposition. So, in doing that, we wanted to not only just create something, but we wanted to be able to keep up with that competition and be able to measure it. So that's when we looked at, previously I had used Universum, and Mars also uses Employer Brand Index, which is a great tool with a lot of insights. However, we didn't have that competitive lens, and our COO at the time had uh, also previously worked at Procter and Gamble on paper towels, and so he was sharing a bit about his experience, and we decided to develop our own way to measure our employer brand.
Right. And can you talk about that? I know don't want to spill any confidentiality, but how have you approached it?
Yeah, so a simple way and like a way that I like to think about it, we developed a list of brand attributes, and our list has 17, but it really depends on like your EVP and your industry, like what you want to measure. But for example, since paper towels is an easy example and a lot less complex than people, you might think about Bounty, and probably their points of differentiation are, if you were to guess, might be that the paper towels are absorbent, right? So, and they're durable. So those might be two questions that you have in the survey that says, you know, the paper towel is durable, like, and you can then measure that on a 5-point scale from strongly disagree to strongly agree. And then a point of parity. So we also had points of parity in our list of brand attributes. And that basically is something that's important to your company, but other competitors can also claim. So
Right,
for
and
that,
I love the practicality of that.
mhm,
That the idea that you may be very good at something, and hopefully you're very good at it, but your competitors understand that's important to the marketplace as well, and don't discount that, but accept it. So
right.
you've put all of this into a proprietary survey that you're doing,
Yes.
and
Yes. So we'll
can you
survey.
talk about that?
Yeah, so once we came up with that list, then we started wave zero of our surveys. And so we survey both internal and external. So we get both perspectives as well. Like, how are we actually living this inside our company? And then in the external survey, we included 5 competitors. And then we also, another interesting thing, we also included none as a competitor so that we could see where our opportunities to stand out. And basically, our points of differentiation all tie back to our employee value proposition themes. So we have 4 themes. And so those are then things that we can measure on. And now we're getting ready to go into wave 3 of this. So
Wow.
it'll be the 4th survey that we've done externally and internally as well. And so it's been really interesting to see the changes year over year and then come up with strategies to take action. So it's really been guiding our whole, not only our whole employer brand strategy and talent attraction, but it's also been impacting our people strategy as well.
Right, absolutely. So you're running these surveys annually, is that correct?
Yes.
And are you sending them to competitor employees as well? How are you distributing them? How are you finding somebody, a competitor, to take your survey?
Yeah, so you can use external survey providers like Qualtrics or companies like that, which we
Yep,
did use Qualtrics to start, and now we're working with an industry publication instead to distribute our survey. But the survey is anonymous externally, and then
wow,
internally we send it through our own channels.
right, wow. And how long does it take you to analyze the data?
Well, probably getting all that back and then, working through all of the themes and everything. It's a couple months
Yeah,
to make a good action plan and an executive summary. It's been really great to be able to have this data and engage our senior leadership team with that. So,
right. I love to hear that you're digging in on it. I always get discouraged. People say, oh yeah, well, the vendor gives us a report, and we read it and we make some adjustments. It's like, no, you're going to make that kind of effort. There's rich data there and layers of it, which is
yeah.
really fun. So people love to avoid mistakes if they can. What's the one thing you'd caution if somebody was thinking about doing this and putting together a proprietary survey? What would be the one caution you'd have?
That's a good question. I would say I'd more caution against not doing it because
Yeah,
if you're not doing it and you're just using like, the typical metrics, funnel metrics, or even any other surveys that are out there, you're really not getting that full picture. And one of the key insights that we had coming out of one of our previous surveys was that we were losing to Gen Z and millennials against one of our competitors. So that really then drove a strategy that we needed to connect better with those audiences. And we started then working with veterinary student content creators and did campaigns, which has been extremely successful. We've done 3 campaigns since and have worked with like 16 influencers, and the first campaign resulted in over 6 million impressions. So we
Wow.
really have started, and we saw the year over year then an increase in that audience, in their perception, which brand perception is really hard to move. I think the swing was like 4% increase,
Wow.
which is pretty big. So
Yep. The value of having base data. We hear people all the time say, oh, I don't want to measure it yet because we know that, we need to make changes and so forth. And I always say, now's the perfect time, because if for no other reason, you can prove that you moved the needle. Don't wait
yeah.
till everything's perfect. Go in and say, here's where we started. And then the ability to justify the effort and the investment and so forth is just so strong. Ellie, I would love to dig into details in here all day, but I'm conscious of time. If people are interested and do want to hear more, are you open to them reaching out on LinkedIn or reaching out to you for more information?
Of course, definitely feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm Allie Brown on LinkedIn, and yeah, send me an invite.
Great. This is fascinating. Ellie, thank you so much for sharing today. Nice to talk to you.
Thanks for having me.
Bye.